But I want to take some time right now to take a seat. You all come a little bit closer. We're going to continue with our series on big picture. And a little different tonight, I'm going to be the one telling the story. So we're talking about big picture, right? That's not necessarily being able to see everything that's happening right now. And what I want you to think about tonight is that sometimes doing the right thing can be really hard. And we're going to see that tonight when we talk about Joseph. But let me give you a story real quick. So I'm thinking about a time when I was in school and I wanted to do the right thing, and it was kind of hard. See, I got a job mowing grass, and this is how I bought my first drum set. This is how I even bought my first cars. I just mowed lots and lots of grass. I mowed for our church, I mowed for our school. And one day I was on the lawnmower mowing around the school, and I hit a pine cone, and I watched, the pine cone was all swollen shut because it had recently rained. And I watched this pine cone just shoot out and fly right through the glass window of the school. And man, my heart sunk. I got all nervous because here I am, a teenager who's trying to save up money, and now here I just made a fool of myself and have to fix something. I have the consequence of having to go and probably be embarrassed and say, hey, I broke the window and now I gotta pay for it. I decided not to do anything. I just kept on mowing. Right? Probably a bad choice. So I keep on mowing and being extra careful again not to hit a pine cone. And would you know it, that I had just recently trimmed some crepe myrtles. If you know what they are, they're the trees that grow along the bypass in between the two lanes over here. And I trimmed the crepe myrtles, and there's a little chunk of wood that I lopped off the top of that. And man, I hit it with my lawnmower, and bam, it hit another window and cracked the window. So here I am, in a matter of 15 minutes, I've broken a window and cracked another. And I'm just wrestling, what should I do? Should I do the right thing and say, hey, I'm the one who did it, broke the window, or just not say anything and see where the cards land? And I'll be honest with you guys, just the whole torment of me being on that lawnmower and thinking through it, I'm sweating right now just thinking about being in that circumstance again. I decided to just to man up and just to let my boss know. So I had to go tell my boss, who hired me to cut the grass, that I broke a window, and then I had to go and tell the principal of the school that I broke the window. And we worked through it. And it wasn't as big of a deal as I thought it was going to be, but sometimes doing the right thing and being honest is really, really hard to do. So we're going to be talking about that tonight as we're looking at the story of Joseph. And if you remember, Joseph was having a hard time with his brothers. You might be able to relate. You may not have a brother you don't get along with and you guys fight all the time. Well, Joseph had a whole bunch of them, and they didn't like him. Remember, they threw him in the pit and they left him there. And then we remember from last week that he was sold into basically kind of like slavery, and he wound up in Egypt. And where we're going to pick up today is going to be in Genesis 39. And I'll throw that up on the screen here in a second. But what's about to happen is God is going to use Joseph in a big way if Joseph chooses to do the right thing. So let me paint the picture here for you, okay? He is in the house of Potiphar. Potiphar was a really, really well-established man in Egypt, right? So he was basically a ruler over the area. He was lower than Pharaoh, but Potiphar just had great power and wealth. And because of Joseph's faithfulness, Joseph had been promoted to be over everything that belonged to Potiphar. Potiphar put Joseph first in command over everything he owned. And we're going to pick up right here in Genesis 39, verse 6. It says, now Joseph was well built and handsome. All right, so he's been doing all this work, and man, he's buff. He's ripped. He looks good. He's probably got the stubble just right and shaved just right, and he looked good, all right? And Joseph took notice by Potiphar's wife, all right? Potiphar, his boss man, is married, and she sees attractive Joseph, and Joseph looks good to her. And not long after she noticed him, she said, "Come to bed with me." Okay, hold on a second. Now, we know that this could be a very, very, very bad thing. Not only if Joseph makes the wrong choice, could it be bad for, his life, but we don't know the big picture yet of what God wanted to do with Joseph. The consequences of Joseph sinning here with Potiphar's wife could be astronomical, okay? But Joseph doesn't know this yet, so Joseph's thinking. And we're going to pick back up in verse 7, 8. It says, "But Joseph refused. Joseph said to her, 'With me, I'm in charge.' He said, 'My master does not concern himself with anything in the house. Everything that he owns, he's given to me, into my care. There is no one greater in this house than me. My master has withheld nothing from me except you, his wife. How could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God?' And though she spoke to Joseph day after day, Joseph refused to go to bed with her, and Joseph refused even to be with her." Now, that's pretty upstanding. Joseph chose to do the right thing. Now, was it a difficult choice? Well, we're going to learn as we keep reading that Potiphar's wife didn't take no for an answer, and she came on him again and again. And then finally, she actually came in and grabbed his jacket, his cloak, grabbed his cloak off of his body. And Joseph ran, like he bolted. Joseph was out of there. He knew he was in a bad situation. Potiphar's wife had already way gone past the boundaries. And as he's running, Potiphar's wife screams. And then some soldiers run in to see what's wrong with Potiphar's wife. And she says, "Joseph tried to attack me. He tried to have his way with me." Obviously, this was a lie. And they see Joseph, they see dust cloud behind Joseph, who's taken off down the road. So, of course, they go and report this to Potiphar. And Potiphar now thinks that Joseph has tried to go after his wife. And again, Joseph is thrown into prison. What in the world? Joseph did the right thing. He was upstanding. He was righteous. He walked in integrity, and still the consequence of him doing the right thing led him in jail. So how come sometimes doing the right thing is so stinking hard? Well, the story doesn't end here, and we're going to pick up next week on what happens next, okay? Because in the big picture, things turned out in Joseph's favor. But what God wanted to do right here in this instance was to test Joseph to see if he would do the right thing. And because Joseph did, it showed integrity of his character. And guys, I just want to tell you, man, I don't know what kind of things you're faced with. You might be right now in a situation where you might be in a rocky situation with a relationship, and you might be pressured by a boyfriend or a girlfriend to be doing the wrong thing, and you're battling to do the right thing. The little step you take today towards doing the right thing could have huge impact in the future. Or maybe it's, maybe you've just been cheating on tests and you just need to come clean of it. Or maybe it's just some conversation you have with your parents. Even though doing the right thing can be hard, in the big picture, doing the right thing is always the best. So I'm so excited that we have Holly Davis, who is going to share a story of something that's on her heart. Now, it's not about Joseph, but Holly wants to talk about idols, and so many times we just want to do the easy thing, what feels like the good thing is just to do what everyone else is doing. I'm not going to spoil it for Holly. Share this awesome story about some guys that did the right thing.
Hey guys, so I'm going to be talking about not bowing down to the words of others because I know it's something that I've struggled with and that a lot of people in middle school struggle with. So I'm going to preface this by telling a story, and the story is in Daniel, and there's this king, and his name is King Nebuchadnezzar, which is so fun, Nebuchadnezzar, but I'm going to call him Nebi. and King Nebi over here is hiring the most dapper, the strongest, most good-looking men he can find to come work in his fields, right? And so he is hiring all these young men, and within all these young men, there are 3 specific Hebrew boys, and their names are Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. And the first thing that King Nebuchadnezzar does when they walk through the doors is he changes their names. Hananiah, Shadrach, Mishael, Meshach, Azariah, no way, you're Abednego. And so King Nebuchadnezzar builds this huge, like super tall gold statue, and a law is passed that when you hear the sound of trumpets and this parade starts rounding the corner, everybody is to bow down. Everybody is to start worshiping this idol. And you can picture this, the trumpets and the parade start rounding the corner, and once the dust settles, there are 3 young Hebrew boys who are still standing up. And so the guards are like, we're taking you to my man Nebi. And so they take him, and King Nebuchadnezzar is like, bro, what you doing? You're supposed to be bowing down. And if you don't, you're going to be put into this super duper hot fire. And they're like, no. And he's like, yeah. And they're like, no, because my God can save me. My God will save me. But even if he doesn't, I'm not bowing down. And so he's like, put them into the fire. And so they're thrown into this scorching hot fire, and they're still standing. And they notice that there's a 4th man in the fire, and it was crazy because King Nebi's like, whoa, that looks a lot like the Son of God. And anyway, so they're like, pull him out, come out. Like, what's going on? And they're like, they're just standing there, no singe on their clothes, they're not burned in the slightest. And King Nebuchadnezzar is over here like, whoa, this God of yours, he's insane, he's crazy, he's real, he's faithful. And I just thought it was super awesome. And I feel like when he changed their names, it related a lot to me, because I remember walking through the doors of middle school, and I got called names within the first week, and my friends got called names within the first week of middle school that we didn't even know existed until we got called those names. And the statue represents the standards that we're supposed to be living up to, and how you walk, how you talk, how you dress, and how you act. And if you don't bow down to that, you're in big trouble, or so you're told. And it takes a lot of courage not to bow down to that. And I'm encouraging you to find confidence in the Lord, and that he can save you, he will save you, and even if he doesn't, you don't have to bow down to those lies. And anyway, I think you should go check the story out for yourself. Bye.
Holly, that was phenomenal. I love this story. And Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they so easily could have done the wrong thing. It would have been easy just to do what the king asked them to do. But instead, they did the hard thing of choosing the right thing, and God so mightily moved through them. So Holly, thank you for sharing that story. It was phenomenal. The rest of you, man, we just hope that you can join us now afterwards in Google Chat so that we can have some further discussion. All right, love you all.